and let us all do we can to build a better future.
So, Farron, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
When do you think people are going to wake up and realize that the Democrats are just going to keep on screwing them over? I actually posted this question. When do you think it's going to happen?
Well, it's definitely not happening tomorrow on Tuesday, where people are just going to go out and vote Democrat strictly to not vote for the other guy. Because, in a two-party system, it's, do you want a bag of poop or do you want a bag of poop on fire? And those are your choices. So not anytime soon, to make a long story short.
So I want to pull up this tweet here, and this is of Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Glad we are on the same page. Railroad workers, paid sick days, Marco Rubio, a rarity, but we'll take it. Oh my goodness, she's working with a Republican. Oh goodness gracious, Cretaceous. The House has sent over what you asked for, the full TA deal with sick days as supported and demanded by our rail workers. Can they count on your yes vote for the amendment? And everything turned out okay. There's nothing more to look into. Right, Farron?
Wrong.
So
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
I know. And so the thing is, why am I talking about this? I know for the past 4 or 5 days, everyone in independent media has once again talked about how the Democrats screwed over the railroad union workers. Now, let's face it, a lot of these politicians on the left and right, Farron, you've covered this too. You've worked in Washington, D.C. longer than you worked in Washington, D.C. and have actually had the first-hand experience to see just what these people are being the politicians. They have gold-plated healthcare. They have the six-figure salary. They have the wonderful social benefits. So for our viewing audience, from your experience, do these politicians really give a damn about their constituents? I mean, you've done a lot of reporting there in D.C. Can you enlighten our audience just really who these scumbag politicians are, truly?
So if you're a member of my locals or on my YouTube channel, you can see the full report. But one of the reports that I did, one of my very first Fair and Balanced reports, was how many days the Congress and Senate actually work. And it was 133 for the House and 165 for the Senate. They come in on Tuesdays and they leave on Thursdays. So they have Monday and Friday off, but they act like it's an actual work day. They get every federal holiday off, but they get the entire week of when that federal holiday happens. So like if Christmas is on a Friday, you get Monday through that Friday off. They get the entire month of August. They get a summer break. They get an early winter break. These guys never work. And yes, they can take as many sick days as they want. They can miss countless of votes. If you actually want to go look at, just like the house.gov or senate.gov, and you can see how many votes your senators or your representatives have not been there to vote, or they don't vote on, which I would think that's like taking a sick day. And when you, like, for example, you bet Beto O'Rourke, when he was running for Senate, he was one of the top people that missed the most votes. Wow. I find it funny that, and mind you, these folks make $174,000 a year. Find me a job besides the old CEOs and the people that did diddly squat at Twitter who are now like, what, I have to work now? But find me a job that you get to work just 133 days, fly anywhere on the taxpayer's dime, and basically, show up when you want and, get a bunch of money to go to be a lobbyist, just so you can buy your judiciary House seat or whatever the hell committee seat you want to get on. I mean, and that's 174,000 base salary. That's not even including like the lobbying money and all that other stuff. So I just find it so funny that, 7 sick days was just too much.
It's
a personal day. It is a bridge way too flippin' far. Compared to, again, working 133 days to 165, when the average American person is nowadays working 1-2 jobs, full time, 80 hours, I mean, it was almost laughable. And then the best part of it all too was truly how Joe Biden got away with it. I was the one that brokered this deal. I was the one that did it. They're going to have to be the ones to pass the sick days. It's like, oh, you little piece of shit. Mr. Union Joe, Amtrak Joe. Not only was this union where he's pro-union, he was Amtrak Joe, where he was taking the train, and it was like both of his things came in at the same time. This should have been a double whammy, a grand slam for you. And what did you do? You punted it over to the Congress and Senate, knowing that they were going to pass no. But we all need to just sit and applaud you, though, that you brokered this deal. No, you told us that it was done, and it wasn't. And then so what? Now we have to have Congress, every deal that happens, they're going to have to negotiate with our unions. Give me a break. But these union leaders too, though, they were idiots as well as these railway CEOs. Oh, wow. That was the thing. Bernie Sanders. Oh, the railroads, they made $21 billion in the third quarter last year. Okay. And what have you done about it, Bernie? What have you done about it? Have you had a hearing? Have you talked to them? Have you figured out where all that money is going? Have you audited them? No, you haven't. You just let it go by. Don't worry.
No, what he did was he tweeted. See, these politicians, especially the progressive Democrats, including Bernie, look, they tweet out things that I agree with. When I see their tweets, I'll be like, okay, great. But wait, once again, write out something that really has no value. You just make statements and you make words and speeches, but there's no follow through. There are no deeds. There are no actions.
Yeah.
I need to see some follow through. Be like, oh, what does 7 days, or what would Medicare for All do for you? What would student debt forgiveness do for you? What would women's reproductive rights do for you? Well, no doubt, it would mean the world to a lot of people. So, fair enough. Let's tally this up. And Gen Z, hey, I'm sorry you got screwed over in the midterms, but now you learned a harsh lesson, especially now that you helped the Democrats really not through anything. But number one, hey, to everyone who voted blue, what did you guys get? Well, women who voted for Democrats, especially for women's reproductive rights, you got nothing. They're not going to fight for it. They're not going to codify Roe v. Wade. They're not going to do it because it's good fundraiser money. They're not going to pardon student debt. That died. That not only did it die in the vine didn't grow. The soil was salted. It was more salted than what the Romans did in Carthage. Well, let's talk about Medicare for All. Not going to happen. And now unions, and I'm so glad
unions. And then you forgot one more thing too.
Okay,
they're touting that they codified gay marriage in the Same-Sex Marriage Act. However, they're actually looking that if you read the bill, that you literally can't you can't force states to do that. So there's a lot of Democrats that are like, wait a minute, I thought that we were passing this whole thing, and no, not at all. And mind you too, I do love seeing some of these Republicans like your Marco Rubios, like your Josh Hawleys, where they're like, oh, see, we need those sick days. They need those sick days. So I'm going to vote no. And it's like, oh, like you care about the common railroad worker.
No.
Right. Okay.
Little boy Rubio, and look, I'm taking this from Trump. Little boy Rubio doesn't care about nobody else but little boy Rubio. Okay. There we go. I mean, that's a fact. And I want to play this video because I'm glad. I'm just going to play just maybe a minute of it, of where here we have a railroad worker, one of the working class on CNN of all places, talking about how he felt betrayed by the Biden-Harris administration and Democrats, and vote blue no matter who. This is perfect political ammunition for Trump to use against the Democrats and Biden in the 2024 presidential election cycle. Yes, I'm going to say that again. This is perfect political ammunition for Trump to use against the Democrats should he win the Republican primary, because there's a lot of angry people out there that were abandoned by the Democrats. And some of these angry people may not even vote at all because they feel rejected by a system that will not represent them.
You voted for President Biden, but now you say you feel like he's turned his back on you. Why?
Well, what we've seen with this great rail strike of 22 that has ended very undramatically is we've seen unionized workers' right to bargain collectively get trampled on. Their voice has not been heard. They voted against a contract. We have a pro-labor president who loves to, pat himself on the back for that. And when the going got tough, he turned his back on the people he's supposed to be looking out for.
And when this bill that is now going to go to President Biden passed the House, it had a separate measure that actually had 7 paid sick days for you and your colleagues. That did not make it to the Senate. They voted against it. Are you asking President Biden not to sign this bill?
It's a good question. You don't go against what your members vote for. So shout out to Jamal Brown for getting that bill going and looking out for us. But the sick days was more of a distraction. The main attraction here is Joe Biden forced a contract on our unionized workers who voted against it.
That's the key word there, folks. Remember that. That's what Joe Biden did. Joe 30330. That's
and notice her demeanor too.
Yeah, talking down.
Are you saying that you don't want Joe Biden to sign this? Yeah, bitch. Like, did I stutter? Don't sign it. And that's the other thing too, is that these railroad workers are supposed to feel grateful or, oh, well, this is what compromise is all about. No, because you know why? If it came to, notice how Congress very quickly can give themselves a raise. Across the board, unanimous decision. No compromise needed. Exactly. No compromise needed. This whole idea of, well, we need to compromise. No, because you know why? The American people have compromised every single time for these assholes. Sorry, but I have to say it. They've compromised every single time. And these people then say, well, I couldn't do it this time, but vote me again and again, and I'll get it for you next time. And they don't do it, whether it's left or right. They lie to your face, act like they care, and then, oops, sorry, I couldn't get you an extra sick day.
Oopsie daisy.
It's ridiculous.
So this is a tweet from the Railroad Workers United, press release from the RWU. We suffered a 1-2 punch at the hands of first the Democratic Party and second served up by the Republicans. So to the railroad workers, all of them who are part of the membership, in case any of you see this live stream or this clip, know this. You will never have a seat at the table with a Democratic or Republican lawmaker. Why? Because 90% of the time they're on the phone calling their donors to get more money so they get reelected, so they could write the legislation to benefit their donors. So they go right back to the phone calling their donors for more money. Now, who are the donors, you might ask? And this is for everyone who votes, right? Who are the donors to the Democratic and Republican Party? Well, they're the number one constituents, not you, the people, not when the Republicans or Democrats send you an email hat in hand saying, please give us money so we could fight for your freedom. No. Big banks, Wall Street executives, hedge fund managers, the top 1%. Those are the number one.
Industry.
The defense industry, big oil, the prison industrial complex, the pharmaceutical industry. Thank you, Farron, for bringing all those up. The healthcare insurance industry. All these corporations.
Big pharma.
Big pharma, yeah. I mean, like you, the regular person who works, they don't like you in Washington, D.C., in the Senate and House, and all the presidential administrations, from good old Reagan all the way up to good old Joe Biden. They don't like you. They don't think about you. And then finally, this is something that should enrage every single voter. And look, if you get angry at me, I'm sorry if I have to tell you this, but that politician that represents you in Washington, D.C. will never, ever respect you. They laugh at your face. They tell you things they want to hear. And so here's what I see when I see a Democratic or Republican voter. I see somebody who's been in an abusive relationship. Take off those sunglasses and show me your black eye. Be brave and realize that you will always be abused by the two-party system. Wake up. I'm no longer going to be playing these kid games or saying, oh, you believe in fairy tales, or, oh, you're just an idiot. No. You're a victim of abuse. And until you break away from that abuse, I will sigh to myself and say, maybe one day they'll be brave and wake up. Maybe one day they'll walk out.
Yeah, and folks, don't think that the GOP and the Democrats had this all planned, okay? Like, don't sit there and say, oh, it was the GOP that stopped this. No, the Democrats knew it too. And you know what? They did nothing to stop it. The majority whips, the minority whips in the House. Could you imagine Can you imagine them actually having to roll up their sleeves and work and say, hey, we need these sick days for these people? No, they don't care. They don't care about swaying votes anymore. They know it's just, okay, vote down the party line. You know, it doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. These things are already fixed, which is why I get so annoyed with people when it's like, well, it was the GOP. No, they're grifting off of this because they're trying to figure out who's going to be the next Trump, because Trump is not going to be the nominee. He's literally just shat the bed, okay? Yep. Especially with wanting to rip up the Constitution. The Democrats are just trying to hang on the ledge as much as they can and go out and, oh, well, we were fighting for you. We're fighting for you, but we just have to compromise. No, they don't want to compromise. They don't want to work it out. They don't care about you. They don't care about fixing their votes. What they care about is that what their vote is recorded as, because if somebody sees what their recorded vote was, like if they voted to give you 7 sick days, that their opponent in the next election would be like, well, look, he voted for the 7-day sick leave and they already got all this other stuff. You know, that's what they're afraid of. They're not afraid of you, the voter, voting him out. They're afraid of their opponent they're going to have come down, knocking on their door, and then they're going to lose your contribution money, or they're going to lose or actually not even your contribution because no one's contributing anymore. Excuse me. They're going to worry about losing the CEO and the big oil, the big pharma, all of those companies' monies if they find out that they voted for 7 sick days. That's why they're not doing it. And that's across the board. Democrats already knew that the Republicans were going to block it. So they just pretty much did a solid vote to be like, oh, see, look, I did vote for you, knowing that it wasn't going to pass. It's all fixed. And anybody that says, you know, oh, it was so-and-so or it was so-and-so, you're out of your mind. You don't see it. Again, like take off the rose-colored glasses. Both sides, it's 2 sides of the same coin and they work together. Agreed. They truly do.
Agreed. Can't argue. Can't debate it. It's the truth.